Danny Wolf is one of the most unique 7-footers that you'll see. This is Floor and Ceiling. Let's break him down. Michigan junior Danny Wolf is a real dribble, pass, and shoot prospect who's listed at 7 feet tall by the Wolverines and is stuffing the stat sheet this season. In 31 games, Wolf is averaging about 13 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 stocks. Quite often, he's acting as Michigan's engine as a scorer and as a facilitator. Wolf's standout quality, in fact, is his positional playmaking, but I think there are real questions about his creation as a whole and then his eventual role in the NBA. We'll dive into those, but for now, I have Wolf in my top 20 to 25 range, although I'd expect teams in the later lottery to be looking at him as well. Let's start with Wolf's work when he uses ball screens, beginning with his scoring. I think that the Michigan junior is at his best when he's using his handle and size to get to the basket. Wolf is fairly crafty, even though I think that he almost always needs a screen to create real space. He then uses crossovers, feints, and rejections to get downhill, and then, obviously, it helps that he's around 7 feet tall despite not having that much bounce. This season, Wolf is finishing around 61% of his shots at the rim on high volume while broadly getting a ton of ball handling reps in the pick and roll. Just watch these clips, and it's easy to see how the Wolverines prospect is a positional outlier in terms of skill and even just usage. Of course, there are some concerns that we'll get into in a few minutes, but Wolf is and should be able to put the ball on the floor to make decisions to some extent. That segues right into Wolf's passing, which is also quite atypical for a 7-footer. This season, Michigan has been using Wolf almost like a guard in the half court a lot of the time, empowering him to take on pick and rolls as the ball handler to score like we saw, but also quite often to facilitate. Wolf is averaging about 4 assists per game this season with a positionally high 23% assist rate. With the Wolverines, Wolf has developed excellent chemistry with Vladislav Goldin, forming the Michigan Twin Towers of sorts. Wolf plays the 4, Goldin plays the 5, and the former is often able to find the latter in empty side setups while leveraging both of their sizes. Wolf is both disciplined, but also creative using screens, and he can execute a variety of passes off the live dribble, in the pocket, or over defenses. Like I said, Wolf does need a screen to create space with his handle most of the time, so I can understand the NBA apprehension when it comes to this, but so far this season, and even in other contexts before that, the Michigan junior has delivered on his high usage. Overall, I buy Wolf as a versatile decision maker and passer. If he's to play as more of a big rather than as a 4 or really as a big wing, which can often be the case, then the Israeli-American prospect can play make out of the post. I like Wolf finding his cutters, especially when they're moving from the corners, and he can act as a bit of a hub. Wolf does a decent job at reading doubles, and he's smart at turning baseline before firing off his eventual delivery. The Michigan prospect also uses jump passes to his advantage, which again also gets the most from his height. Overall, I like how Wolf reads the floor. He also has solid zip on his passes, but sometimes he gets too many dribbles compared to the situations that he'll encounter in the NBA. That's why I honestly prefer him as more of a connective passer when he's not making reads out of ball screens. Really, I believe in Wolf's playmaking as a whole, and it shows up all over the place for Michigan, be that in transition, off movement, or attacking closeouts. I trust that Wolf can make decisions to generate good shots for others, although I do believe that he might have to make a big adjustment going forward. Wolf gets a lot of time and volume on the ball at Michigan, but in the NBA, I'm thinking that his passing will come in a more complementary capacity. That will mean less touches and also less time to make decisions. It'll also mean adjusting to other demands, but I'm not worried about Wolf's ability to play different roles since I think we've seen that with Yale, Michigan, and even Israel. That said though, Wolf's turnovers are a concern. He's averaging 3.3 turnovers to 3.7 assists, which is just about okay. For Wolf's position in college, his playmaking is actually evidently superior as a whole, but in general and compared to the pros, this is not that good if that makes sense. For me, the biggest thing is that Wolf needs to recognize risk versus reward better sometimes depending on how the defense is reading him. He plays a risky style of basketball due to his creativity, in all fairness, but Wolf also makes too many unforced errors right now that lead to turnovers. Passing-wise, Wolf can do better at spotting which windows exist. He can try to force deliveries in areas with tons of bodies, so they get picked off. I also think that he has a slight tendency to overpass sometimes when his drive is walled off, which takes me to my next point. That is about Wolf's handle, and this is a shades of gray issue. Clearly, Wolf gets a lot out of his handle. Michigan trusts him to run the pick and roll, he gets many reps with the ball in his hands in general, and obviously I just dedicated an entire segment of this video to what he can do with his driving and passing. At the same time, I also feel like Wolf's handle still needs a bit fair of work and improvement in order to offset his athletic limitations. If you notice, Wolf can struggle to beat his man a lot of the time when his first moves off the dribble are contained. If Wolf tries to attack off the catch and he gets walled off, then I'm not sure that he has NBA counters when it comes to flowing into a different dribble move and such. Truth be told, I'm still not too sure what to make of this conundrum, but I do think that Wolf is going to need to scale down once he gets drafted. These concerns, which apply to the Michigan prospect's turnovers, also tie into his scoring. Like I've been saying, Wolf is around 7 feet, but then I want his finishing to be more imposing. Wolf is making around 61% of his shots at the rim, and he only has 6 dunks in 31 games. The Michigan junior is also strangely inefficient in transition, only converting 16 of his 32 shots at the basket there. Wolf is very coordinated, but he's not athletic from a run and jump standpoint. Continuing to work on his handle might be the biggest thing, but he also needs to get stronger because I think that he can shy away from contact. Wolf can look uncomfortable after bumping on his drives and also when he's met with traffic in the paint. If the 20-year-old can't separate getting downhill, and I said earlier that he almost always needs a screen to do that, then he can transition into these sort of distant post-ups that I don't really like too much. Ultimately, Wolf is a below-the-rim finisher despite his size, and also he tries too many scoops for my liking. Really, I want to see him go up and finish strong. Even though I think Wolf will need to scale down, there could also be an argument made for him scaling up. I'm not on this side, but what if you gave him the ball even more and empowered him not just in the pick and roll, but as a scorer? This season, Wolf is 4 for 8 on off the dribble 2s, and he's 14 for 48 on off the dribble 3s. Wolf likes to get to a step back, be that from the mid-range or from deep. I think that his gather is a little slow, but at his size, it probably doesn't matter too much. That being said though, I'm not sure that Wolf's shot looks that easy, and there's also occasions where he takes up a lot of dribbles without it culminating in a clean look. Defenses don't really want to give Wolf the lane when he uses a screen, but as a shooter, I think they're pretty willing to go under on picks. If Wolf is going to struggle to finish in these situations, then he needs to keep adding to his pull-up and in-between games. Michigan can also go to their star junior as a self-creator in the post, although Wolf's numbers haven't been good this year. They were also only average at Yale, so I don't think that post-ups will be in Wolf's NBA profile, and this goes back to how he can still leverage his size better in some contexts. Looking to the future, I prefer Wolf as a stationary shooter, but his off-ball numbers from 3 haven't been good this year, and he also hasn't shot free throws well. Wolf is making around 33% of his catch-and-shoot threes, which will need to be better in the NBA, even though that just hasn't been Wolf's role at Michigan. He was better last season at Yale when he was used slightly differently, and he made 44% of those spot-ups. In the NBA, I think that he'll really need to cash in on these threes because, like I said, I expect that Wolf will need to lower his volume and touches. If that's the case and the shot is going in, then he should be able to attack closeouts fluidly with his decision making and his size. There could also be a case for Wolf to be scaled up as a play finisher rather than as an initiator. The Wolverines' prospect is a strong rebounder who pulls down 10 boards a game, with 2 coming on the offensive glass. This was also the case with Yale and with Israel. Wolf times himself well, and he knows how to use his body to clear out space and then put the ball back in the rim despite lacking lift. On top of that, I also wonder how the pick and roll will go for Wolf in the NBA when he acts as the screener rather than as the ball handler like at Michigan. Wolf played out of empty side pick and rolls at Yale quite a fair bit, usually after getting the ball at the top of the key and then flowing into some sort of handoff. He could use his size at the Ivy League level, plus he's just a good player who gets numbers regardless of where he is. But I do think that he struggled when he was met by real length or traffic, which would then be the case in the NBA. Danny Wolf is an interesting defensive evaluation, although I think that I'm ultimately more on the optimistic side, slightly, even though there are plenty of questions to answer. Like on offense, there are some athletic limitations that concern me. Wolf is not super fleet-footed, he lacks lift, and I don't think that he's going to be very switchable. I also feel like Wolf is not super sharp with angles and corners despite generally moving pretty well, but his stat profile this season looks good. He's averaging about a block and a half a game, and then a little under 1 steal. He was getting a similar amount at Yale as well, so there's a bit of a proven track record with Wolf now. To be honest, I actually don't think that Wolf is much of a shot blocker, but he can use his size and such to get stops near the basket. This season, he has 43 blocks in 31 games, as well as some pretty solid advanced numbers. I was actually pretty surprised by this. Wolf's rim protection didn't stand out to me that much in real time. I still have concerns about the shot blocking that I'll get into very shortly, but Wolf can remove angles at the rim, and his size and mobility give him margin for error. Wolf still isn't fast, but he's a good mover at his size, like I said, so when you're a 7-foot body, you just tend to cover up more space and recover a little bit better. This is also what allows the Michigan junior to get steals. However, I'm not sure about Wolf's defensive projection when it comes to the NBA. I definitely don't see him as a 5 on D, but he's not fast enough for wings and he's not that active of a helper to be super valuable at the 4. I think that this will probably be a case where Wolf just adds more on offense regardless, but he will need to find a role on defense. Too often, I just feel like Wolf either isn't in the position to make a play, or he lacks the athletic tools in terms of his first step and pop to create more events. Michigan has Vladislav Golden to cover up for Wolf, and of course, having 2 7-footers on a college court takes away a lot of space, but this will not be the case or the context in the NBA. The space, the pace, and the skill will all increase, so Wolf will either need to keep up this production, which like I'm saying, I'm skeptical about, or he'll need to demonstrate to me that he can step out and guard in space at a decent level. Like I've been saying, I'm not sure that Wolf is very fast, but he is pretty coordinated, and broadly, he plays with good to very good effort. That's to say, the Israeli playmaker isn't a sieve on defense. When he's locked in, he can move his feet. But at the same time, I just don't think that 1.4 blocks and 0.8 steals average is going to carry over. As always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. Make sure to leave a comment telling me what you make of Danny Wolf. Make sure to subscribe to the Floor and Ceiling Substack. And if you enjoyed this video and want to watch more type of content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel as well. Take care, and I'll catch you guys next time.